Sawasdee krap and welcome to Thailand News Today, second day of the week, and certainly noticing that things are getting a little bit cooler here in Bangkok. The coolest months of the year are usually December and January, and definitely noticed today that just a little bit cooler. The breeze doesn't have that heat in it. A nice time of the year. Anyway, enough about the weather. Let's talk about today's main news stories. A Hungarian diplomat who lives here in Thailand has recently tested positive after an apparent local transmission. The 53-year-old diplomat had been in close contact with the Hungarian Foreign Minister, who tested positive for COVID-19 during a visit to Bangkok last week. He arrived in Bangkok on his way back from Pnom Phenh and left the following day after his diagnosis. The CCSA says the diplomat is currently asymptomatic and was admitted to the Infectious Diseases Institute in Nonthaburi for monitoring. In addition to a woman testing positive in Koh Samui weeks after she'd arrived from France and completed her 14-day quarantine, an asymptomatic Indian man tested positive in Krabi over the weekend, despite having no recent international travel history. Tests are being carried out on 19 people who had close contact with the man, with 32 other contacts isolated. 3 new COVID-19 cases were detected in quarantine over the past 24 hours. The total number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Thailand is up to 3,844. 3,670 have recovered, and there's been 60 deaths. 114 people are currently receiving medical treatment for the coronavirus. A follow-up on an incident we reported yesterday when a Thai protester ended up headbutting a 52-year-old Russian man who was watching the protest with his 10-year-old daughter and his Thai wife. The protester, Naratawat Kama, was addressing a small audience when the Russian man strolled along and started listening. The Russian man has been named as Vladislav Timokhin. According to Naratawat, the Russian claimed that the protesters joining in the battle were all trash and were pulling down Pattaya and the country. According to Naratawat's statement to Sanuk.com, the Russian also said the protesters were the reason why Thailand's economy is falling down. His explanation wasn't captured in the original Pattaya news video. Naratawat was escorted to the local police station, detained and later put on a 10,000 baht bail, pending a future court appearance. The Russian was sent to a hospital for treatment to his bloodied forehead and nose. Police in Bangkok say they're going to read the contents of 4 large rubbish bins fashioned to look like large red letterboxes to determine whether they're going to press charges related to last Sunday's rally. Pro-democracy protesters used the letterboxes to drop handwritten petitions and letters calling for reform of the Thai monarchy. The letters were addressed to His Majesty the King. The red boxes were left with police after authorities blocked activists from marching to the palace's household bureau to deliver the letters personally to the palace. Police say they'll decide whether to charge the protesters depending on the content of the letters. The police chief also defended the police's use of water cannons, saying they were only deployed after officers issued a warning for protesters to stay back and were not aimed directly at people, which is a misstatement as evidenced in several videos. Police say Sunday's protest violated a restriction on mass gatherings, and those involved did not seek permission in advance to holding the rally. The parents of children abused at the CCSA school in Nonthaburi, just outside Bangkok, are seeking compensation. A lawyer representing the parents say that a group of 20 parents are seeking more than 120 million baht in damages. Reports of alleged abuse at the CCSA private school stemmed from incidents caught on classroom surveillance camera footage showing a 30-year-old teacher abusing kindergarten students. Videos of the woman pushing a student to the floor and dragging another across the classroom were shared on social media. The court sentenced the kindergarten teacher to 7 months in jail. Another nursery teacher at the school was sentenced to 45 days in jail after she was caught on camera putting a black garbage bag on a student's head and pulling it down to cover his entire body. 4 other teachers at the CCSA school also got short jail sentences, around 15 to 75 days, for assaulting kindergarten students by banging their heads on the desks, pushing them to the floor and twisting their ears. Thailand's army chief has again called the chances of another army coup as close to zero, saying the only way the current political impasse can be sorted out is by political means. Pro-democracy activists continue to put pressure on the government, repeating their demands for the resignation of PM Prayut Chan-o-cha, a constitutional rewrite and reform of the role of the country's revered monarchy. Addressing reporters yesterday, the army commander insisted a coup was not a possibility, despite the army chief's denial. With the government continuing to ignore protesters' demands, rumours of a coup continue to spread online. Some people point to the fact that the current PM gave the same assurances when he was the army chief back in 2014, just months before the military went on to stage a coup and install him as PM. And when you're living in Bangkok, it's always very easy to talk about great food. Well, Bangkok's Chinatown is about to get a bit of a makeover. Apparently all the food carts are being rearranged along Yaowarat Road. In the revitalisation plan starting early next year, the food carts will be more orderly and harmonised, according to the Deputy Bangkok Governor. Last year, the BMA cracked down on street food vendors in efforts to clean up the streets and make sure food carts were following regulations. For Chinatown, food vendors will continue to operate along the street as long as they're up to code. Well, that's it for Thailand News Today. The only thing we ask of you is if you could subscribe to the channel. That really helps us with our rankings on YouTube. In the meantime, we appreciate your support and we'll see you again tomorrow.